Hi, welcome to our NAB 2023 News and Updates presentation. I'm Nick Rashby, and President of AJA, and this is Bryce Button, the Director of Product Marketing. And we're thrilled to be here. We have lots of great stuff to talk about today, and we're gonna try to be as time efficient as possible, but we also have really exciting stuff to talk about. So NAB is back. We're thrilled to be there. We're going to talk more about that. There's the beautiful West Hall where we're located, and we'll show you at the end of the presentation where our booth is and how you can find us. But we're really looking forward to being back at NAB, being with our friends and partners and customers and clients. It's just going to be a really exciting time. And the buzz I'm hearing, and I think you mentioned as well, is that it's just really going to be a very exciting
Well,
show.
for sure.
Yeah.
Our meeting rooms are stuffed. We're hearing from a lot of partners, a lot of folks. There's, in general, a lot of excitement, and I think everyone's really ready to be back in person and chatting away.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. So our first bit of news today is around Diskover Media Edition, which is data management software that we introduced with our friends at Diskover a little while ago, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. And it's, the client side is driven from this very easy to understand, very beautiful interface that works on standard web browsers across the LAN, across the web. It's really designed to just be easy to use, and the function is just to really deeply understand and index all of your media assets, regardless of where they live, whether it's on local storage, on-prem, whether it's in the cloud, whether, it's so flexible. And there's some very exciting new features in our NAB updates. Lots of stuff. We're not going to get into every single one of these, but we're going to pull sort of a few highlights and talk about them. The first one is Okta integration. Maybe you could explain why that's important.
Yeah, it's really important. You're probably familiar with it in your corporate environments. If you're being protected by IT, ensuring that you've got a system that ensures that everybody is compliant and correctly logged in, and materials are just being checked in terms of the secure backwards and forwards that's going to go on. The second item here, as you see, is the Zytec Media Operations Platform Order Status, which is all about tracking the finances, the ordering. Do you have multiple projects on the system? Do you need to get one off, get another one on? How much are we charging, which will vary, of course, based upon your various platforms. Cloud platforms tend to charge different fees depending on whether you're putting materials up, pulling it down. And so being able to keep track and actually understand what's going on with your money, aside from anything else, and then understanding when you're going to need to maneuver materials from one location to another. So it's a really great plugin. Oxygen IMF is a new one here, and very important. If you're delivering packages, whether it's to cinema studios, platforms like Netflix, etc., there are requirements in terms of what they expect to receive. To make sure that you're on top of everything, this is now done with this plugin to make sure that it validates everything correctly. So you don't have to.
Important.
It's so important. People have done broadcast checks like that for years, and sometimes things have bounced back, and you want to cut any of that inefficiency out of the system. So,
And now it's, with this plugin, built right in.
it's built right in, and it's going to take care of what you need.
And so next, three more features we're going to talk about today. The legal file name plugin.
That's really key. As you organize your projects, as you deal with the limitations of file name characters often, depending on your OS, for instance, and if you're just trying to keep some discipline on the whole thing so that everyone knows what's going on, you can set this up so it flags you, and you can have reports sent to the appropriate folks. So it basically goes, well, the naming here is kind of illegal for one in our system. It's going to create problems if there are little wrong slashes and strange characters. So it'll notify whoever you need notified, and then you can figure out what you're going to do about that.
It looks like you can also set it up to remediate those
Correct.
those file naming issues.
Yeah.
You choose to have it set up like that.
Correct. So you can go in and say, hey, if this is showing up, I would like you to substitute for the correct term, etc.
So flexible and easy.
Hash differentials, that's a really key thing, especially when coming from your most important elements, which are basically source files. So you may be on set getting stuff up to the cloud somewhere, and you want to make sure you haven't accidentally introduced any potential for corruption. So basically checksums the data on both sides. So once the transfer is done, you should have exactly the same materials. And every now and again, those things go a little off. Packets have gotten dropped or what have you. So it'll let you double check, and you can always redo it again if needed for a particular setup.
Yeah.
Synesys is great.
This plugin is very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's once again another way to monitor your materials as you get it up, right? Because we're trying, the whole point of this is curation, non-destructive insight into your media. So with this type of plugin, again, you can view your materials and just ensure that you actually got what you thought you were putting up. Sometimes file names can be a tad misleading, and that just allows you to triple check yourself.
Absolutely. And our good friends at Oxygel had nice things to say about their update.
Yeah, so Matt, who will be at the show, of course, just basically validating what we're trying to get across here is at some point you need to deliver particular materials in a particular package, and this just really ensures that you're all playing things straight, and that your delivery platforms are going to be extremely happy with what they're receiving the first time.
Very important. So again, partnering. All of some of these features are optional plugins that you can buy directly from these companies. Other ones are included in the Diskover Media Edition package, those with an active subscription, and just lots of really powerful things coming, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. The team at Diskover is super engaged with the customers out there in the world and are always listening and implementing new features. So I'm always very excited to see what they come up with, and lots of really good new features based on real world requests.
And the truth is the media content just keeps exploding. So almost all parties at some point are going to need a system like this because it's becoming unmanageable in terms of human labor and time to stay on top of it all.
It's been a great product for us. Great product. So our next bit of news is around the very popular FS-HDR, which is sort of the workhorse for color conversion on set, in the field, anywhere you really need it. HDR conversions, color conversions, developed with the color experts at Colorfront,
Right.
And just has a lot of really good stuff in it. There's a new update, a 4.2 update here at NAB that introduces some very significant new features. Let's take a look at the first one, which is ColorFront Engine, which is the heart of the system, this new TV mode. Maybe you could explain what's in there.
So we had TV mode in previously. This is an update to it, and it really brings it in sync with what we're implementing within the ColorBox package as well. So ColorBox was designed later. We were able to bring in more adjusted features. You're going to find here some parameters you may not have seen before, like super highlights, dealing with extreme highlights where you're trying to roll problematic material back a bit so you calm it down. Really designed for a lot of great round tripping, and I think you're going to find this is a really great benefit now to ensuring that the two products, the FrameSync product, which is FS-HDR, and that really portable ColorBox are really completely in sync, and you're moving the transforms around in a way that are going to be respected throughout the journey.
Yeah, and maybe the S-Log3 is worth highlighting as well.
Oh, for sure. So when it comes to the S-Log3, effectively is introduced alongside Venice 2. So this great new camera that's been utilized a lot, especially in things like sports production.
Which really surprised me that these high-end cinema cameras are being used in live environments, but I guess everyone's trying to achieve the best cinema look they can, regardless of whether it's a live event or a sporting event.
Yeah, we're blessed to have great displays today, whether it's our phones, our iPads, whatever we're watching on. Are capable of really displaying wonderful colors, pretty incredible gamma ranges. So for folks and producers are wanting to get more and more of that creative intent in there and utilize all that capability.
Yeah.
So that's what that's about, is ensuring that we can bring through the best all the way from sensor to the end of the pipeline.
So cool. And updated film and live modes as well from Color.
Yeah, so here we got some support now for the Log C4 from Canon.
From Arri.
From Arri, my apologies. The key thing here again is that this is actually going to spread across the product lineup. You may have an older Arri camera through something called Arri Reference. This log mode is being brought to all the cameras across the line. And so everyone is going to be able to benefit from this new approach to color science they have, which again, like most of us, is all about trying to get that creative intent through right from the beginning. That, take what a DP's putting work into and getting that into the pipeline and having quick and easy ways to deal with it. Remember, this is a real-time product. So you can do this all the way from the camera through the workflow. So it can be in a stadium. It can be going into post-production later if you choose.
From sound stages to stadiums to cameras like the Alexa 35 and Venice 2 are just showing up in all kinds of different environments. Updated BBC HLG LEDs, we go from version 1.5 to 1.6.
So the BBC team have been working extremely hard over the last year to two, trying to update the HLG LUTs for a lot of scenarios, which is why you're going to find a range of them here. LUT 9, for instance, has been used a lot for great color reproduction and details within highlights. You've got a combination LUT going on with LUT 22, for instance, and they're trying to do their best to also pull out more from the newer cameras and sensors again. So recently we introduced a story around Grass Valley and their new camera. So the whole point here is to have options to deal with your different pieces of kit within the whole workflow and ensure you get the most out of them with HLG, which is specifically designed for live workflows, because you're not having to have metadata go along the pipe. So that's all recognized. Now you have ever more choices, and it's going to circulate better with things like the NBC LUTs as well.
And just staying current with the BBC as they develop the LUTs as well. So the 4.2 update is a free update, and that's available now. So for anyone with an FS-HDR, just go to AJA.com and download the latest package. Our next bit of news is around the very popular Bridge Live, and this product just blows me away because we developed it in partnership with the experts at Compromato who really know streaming and delivery, and we know the hardware side, and it's just been a great marriage. It's resulted in this very popular and just spectacular product that fits into so many different workflows: remote production, streaming, collaboration, contribution, you name it, all in the multi-channel live video. It's just been a fantastic product. And so for NAB, we have a new 1.14 update that introduces several new features. We're going to highlight 3 of them today: RTMP input, packet redundancy, and JPEG XS. And all of these were based on customer feedback as well. So first, let's talk about RTMP, the RTMP input. We have RTMP output, and now we're adding input. Maybe why is that significant?
Well, RTMP stands for Real-Time Messaging Protocol. Originally designed for social media platforms where you're putting everything into really small chunks. So you can think about it as like buying furniture from IKEA. You've got a few boxes, it's all compact, and you feed it through. So you're sending a lot of small data packets rapidly. And that allows that integration with these kind of platforms. So now you're going to be able to take that input, could be coming out from a particular platform that you're feeding in, and because this is such a powerhouse box when it comes to transcoding, your options from there are immense. You're going to be able to go into NDI, a bunch of the other codec options, and what we're about to talk about here in terms of the new JPEG option as well.
So it's just more compatibility.
Yes.
An already extensive feature set.
Correct.
This is huge. JPEG XS, we now have optional licenses for the Bridge Live. We have an existing JPEG 2000 optional license, and we've added JPEG XS. And it's a very low latency and visually lossless codec, but maybe you could explain why it's important and maybe what types of customers have been asking for it.
So it's an option versus JPEG 2000. It's been embraced by a lot of manufacturers. It's currently being discussed as part of the AIMS protocols and compressions, especially for AV businesses where you got lower bandwidth potentially to move things through. So JPEG XS has been designed for that sort of smaller bandwidth scenario. So you're getting beautiful imagery again, 10-bit again through SRT for encryption and that type of thing. And then it's going into an MPEG TS stream, which means transport stream, standard stuff. Very good audio. It's PCM, so clean as can be. So a lot, just another great option for folks.
And That option is available in 2 licenses. You can buy either a single license that provides 1 channel of HD for $1,500, and then there's a 4-channel HD or 1 channel of Ultra HD 4K option that's $6,000. And so you can pick whichever one works best for you, or buy 2 or 3 of the single channel one. And we recommend that you match the number of ports, obviously, that you're using on the Bridge Live on a regular basis to buy that same number of licenses.
Lots of flexibility. Again, get into things as you need to. If you can plan ahead,
definitely
buy ahead.
And so a new feature as well is packet redundancy. Maybe you could explain what that is.
So, anytime you're dealing with anything that's going across IP protocols, there's a chance of packet loss. So here, we're basically offering the 2022-7, which was always designed to have almost like a fallover if a packet gets lost in one of the 2 streams. So here you're plugging into 2 Ethernet ports. If indeed something goes a little funky on one of them, the other will pick it up. So whatever happens, source to destination, you will arrive with your clean signal and everything.
So it's reliability and backup during live events.
Right? Yes, just making sure, just like our redundant power supplies, there's so much equipment, you don't want to be taking chances that you don't need to.
Yeah. And so Bridge Live, these new features just are added to an already a very impressive feature set. So, baseband in and out is 12G SDI. We support a multitude of codecs, H.265, NDI, RAP, H.264, MPEG-2. We have the JPEG 2000 license, which is optional, and the new JPEG XS license, and then all kinds of transport protocols and wrappers, including the new RTMP input feature. And so this new Bridge Live 1.14 update is available next month to anyone with an active subscription. Those without subscriptions will get access to bug fixes, but the new features, you do have to have a maintenance agreement in place. Right. And the JPEG XS licenses will be available next month as well. So really cool stuff, and just keeps making an incredibly impressive product even more useful, and just really, again, listening to customers and the good people at Compromato are so smart implementing it in a really great way.
And of course this will tie us into their software offerings as well, so it just expands that ecosystem all over again.
Definitely. So our next bit of news is on HELO Plus, which was the successor to the very popular HELO streaming box. And these are little tiny boxes. And so the HELO Plus added a number of features, and it runs on a very powerful web browser UI, which is very familiar to those with KeyPro or any of our FS products or a number of other products. And it just serves up this complete control and configuration over a standard web browser in a very familiar and intuitive way. So today we're talking about a new update, version 2, which is very exciting stuff. There's a number of new features which we're going to talk about individually, and then some new options as well, which introduce some really unique and powerful new features. So first, let's talk about the audio features in the web UI. So just listening to customers who have said, hey, it'd be great in the web UI if I had an audio presence indicator, or if I had a VU meter to make sure the levels are correct. And so we listened and implemented that in the web UI. Language support, so we sell our products globally, and HELO Plus has been a huge hit, not just in the Americas, all over the world. And so we have 3 new languages now for the web UI, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. So you can choose whichever one helps you work the most efficiently. And next up, another new feature is we are now an approved device for Facebook Live, and maybe you could talk about why that's important and maybe the user.
Yeah, it's really key. A lot of houses of worship, for instance, use Facebook Live. A lot of groups, organizations like to use Facebook Live. And the key thing here is you basically go through the process of getting configured just once, and once that's done, then from there on out, it's effectively a single button push. And then all that information is saved, we're approved, it'll immediately go. So it's about simplifying, again, giving you flexibility, and just ease of process.
A really cool feature of being able to output status overlays on the baseband outputs. So there's SDI and HDMI outputs on the box. And it gives you the ability to sort of at a glance see important information about the status of the box right on the video signal that's being output. So at a glance, while you're streaming, you could have an HDMI display, let's say, set up and take a look at it and make sure that it's seeing audio. You get a little level meter, etc., etc., all the good functions that are there.
Yeah, it's really key, because sometimes when you're working with pieces of hardware, your mind's kind of in a number of places at once. To have that quick glance.
In a number of places at once. Where are we?
Yeah, so you can just basically do the glance to screen, go, okay, I'm definitely in live stream and record. Maybe you'd forgotten to record for some reason, and so you can immediately confirm where you're at.
And just look over and make sure the audio is correct. It's
correct.
Peaking.
Yes. Which, anyone that does anything with music, the peak thing is what you're trying to avoid, right?
I've made that mistake several times.
So yeah, it's a really key package.
Yeah, really nice new feature. Next up is we have new downloadable options. So this is the first time that the HELO platform, the original HELO and the HELO Plus was always part of the upgrade package, and now we have options built in where you can easily enable new features if they work for you or not, if they're relevant to your workflow, right in the box. And so there's fully functional trials. So with these two new features, which we're going to talk about, you could choose to enable it, see if it works for you, see if it fits your workflow, turn it off, and if you love it, go buy it. And it takes you to a new web page, or you can buy it from one of our resellers. So just really cool new capability of being able to try things out with no watermark, make sure that they work for you, and like I said, go buy them. And Bryce mentioned to me earlier that these trials don't stop in the middle of if you're live streaming and you've enabled one of these, it's not going to stop in the middle and go, hey, your trial's over. It's going to wait until you stop that stream.
Yeah, so it's watching, you'll be forewarned, so you don't want to deliberately go in when you've got only 2 hours left on a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
So, it's rational. But the point here too is it's all within an interface. So you've got both the trial and the buy button right there in the new license tab. So you can simply go in it and do it at any point. And I think you're really going to enjoy this in terms of what you're getting with these features.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the two new optional features. The first one is 4-channel audio, which enables a second stereo audio pair. And so that's perfect for a number of workflows. We're going to highlight one that is maybe having a second or alternate language on the second stream. It's a 2-channel box. So you could have, here's a little diagram you could have on stream 1. Let's just say you have English. I'm live streaming a hockey game, and I want to have French delivered as well. So I have a second stream, and I'm using those extra audio channels for the French language on that second stream.
That's great, because you're pulling this, remember, off your baseband signal coming in. So let's say you got SDI and there's 8 channels. Then it's likely that you've gone and done different languages. And then so you can take one of the HELO Pluses and go, okay, I'm going to send out this pair of the English and the French. And you may, in fact, have another HELO Plus if you're choosing to do that, to go with Spanish and something else.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So, you can spread the stuff to exactly where you need it to go. And as you see in the workflow here, you're just assigning that pair.
Just right in the web UI. Right?
Just in the web UI. Very easy, quick placement and routing for that audio.
That's a cool feature. This next new feature is another option, and we're calling it Play to Stream, and it does just that. It allows you to take previously recorded material, even material that had been recorded on an original HELO, not just a HELO Plus, and use that as a source for a live stream later. So it's literally playing to stream, and that is available on any of the media destinations that the box provides, whether that's USB or SD card or NAS. And so you can record, let's say, like a morning session of a presentation to your drive, and then you want to be able to play that out later and have a second stream as maybe a picture-in-picture, or even do the language thing that we talked about, or different deliveries. And it's just so powerful. It allows you to stream, play out, and record simultaneously on this little box. It's really powerful stuff.
Kind of crazy, because what you can be doing is you might be, let's say you're based in the US, and you've got your chairman or your CEO, and he's doing a recording during the time of day that it's obviously sane for him. So you're doing that, you record that the first time, Next day you schedule it, so you just use the scheduler in the software. It goes out, and he may be recording a whole new session at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can deal with the world time zone splits and all that type of thing, which really does make this an incredibly flexible device again, where you get to control what happens when, and none of your production is interrupted.
I think this is a feature that we're going to be surprised how people use it. So HELO Plus, the 2.0 update, is available to everyone next month. That includes the audio features, the Facebook Live integration, and the user overlay feature on the status outputs on the baseband outputs. The two options are so affordably priced, and again, they do have free trials. You can try them out. The 4-channel audio option is only $99 US. The play to stream is only $199 US. And if it works for you, that's nothing. One job will pay for that, and those will both be available next month as well. Really, I'm so excited about this new update. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, the forward thinking in terms of the design on the box is now coming to the fore.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
We built space, we built memory, we built processing power to ensure that we could keep bringing things to people. And by listening again and going, it would be nice if. So we hope that, you know, during the course of the show, if you've got ideas, just bring them to us on the stand.
And keep adding value to your original investment. You buy a HELO Plus, you're going to keep getting really significant features.
Oh yeah.
It's just really sort of the AJA way. Next up is the ColorBox, which we introduced at last IBC, and it's just been a huge hit. It's just this powerful little box. It's this big, tiny, and it exists to take in SDIs. It's an inline color transform, basically, with 12G SDI and HDMI 2.0 latest connectivity. And for onset looks, LUT management, color management, just really powerful stuff in this box. And we partnered heavily to create this box because the philosophy behind it, the thought behind it is to not change the way that people are working, but complement. And so if you are already invested in a certain color science or a certain camera or whatever, this box will help you not just do conversions, but complement your workflow as well. And so the good people at ColorFront, we have the NBCU LUTs in there, we have BBC HLG LUTs, Orion Convert, and this very powerful AJA Color Pipeline mode that allows you to upload user LUTs. Just tons and tons of functionality in this box. And so we have, and again, that runs off the web-based, web browser-based interface. It runs on standard web browsers. Looks familiar. Has this great nodal-based sort of UI on the bottom to easily toggle on and off features. Seeing things in sort of a signal path, visual representation. It's really beautifully well done. So here at the show, we have a new 2.0 update. Just couldn't be more excited about this one. Just so many good things. There's new ColorFront modes, which Bryce alluded to earlier. Updated HLG LUTs, again, more for compatibility with other devices, and a number of other features like user overlays, test patterns. We're going to talk about each one of these individually. So the first one is complementing the ColorFront stuff that's in the box. There's now an option that gives you even more capability. Maybe you could talk about some of that.
So we developed ColorBox a little bit later than the original FS-HDR. As you saw, we now worked with ColorFront to bring more parameters into view, and therefore that's going to make the whole round tripping and journey between the ColorBox and FS-HDR much smoother in general. So
because they are complementary, right?
Yeah, they complement.
FS-HDR in the truck or in the production center, and you can have color boxes on set. It just goes on and on. The capability that you can have.
Because you want that centralized thing with an FS-HDR where there might be audio work going on and frame syncing required, where going directly from a color box off a single camera or what have you. So you can match them all up. You get the same full parametric controls. You get a license with this now for the S-Log3, which again is the Sony Venice camera. And then in live mode, you're also getting the ARRI Log C4, which is pretty big. Again, you're going to be able to pull material from your new ARRI 35, if that's what you purchased.
I wish I had one.
But as I mentioned, it's also going to be, that color science is also going to be available from the older cameras that are still very much in production, from Amiras to Alexas across the board. So a lot of great features. And then, here we have the new ColorFront modes and updates as well.
And just very easy to understand. This user interface is so beautiful. I love it every time I see it working. The next features are updated BBC HLG LEDs from 1.5 to 1.6 again. Sounds familiar.
Yep.
What we had in the FS-HDR.
So as you can see with things like latency, etc., where you got the color appearance model, BBC is trying very hard to ensure that they honor a lot of what's going on with the creative intent again as well, wanting to make sure the round tripping is working well, continuously improving color renditions in general, and the details and the highlights. You know, as they've done more and more sports and in different environments, from golf to tennis, you get particular challenges that you have to deal with, and then being able to get the curves that you want from particular areas of the gamut is really huge. So all around, this is just dealing with the fact there are more cameras in the market, period, and then ensuring that you can handle more and more challenging scenarios. So really great work on their part, and we're thrilled and honored to be one of the first to again have these new updates in a real-time product.
So it's staying current with the latest stuff, and it's also building compatibility and really user functionality into more of that in the box with these LEDs.
Yeah, it's great work.
There's a new updated version 1.1 for the Orion convert mode, which has been very popular. That comes included in the box. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this one added some gamma compensation again, which is dealing with the luminance areas primarily. Again, trying to deal with curves and roll-offs as you get into the high end, especially since different folks are going to have a different definition of how many nits are going on the high end, and you want to ensure that you've got decent control there. Compensation for subjective changes as you go between SDR and HDR. So that's the ability to get literally better looking SDR. So I think that's a whole move for the industry anyway. So for folks that are still stuck with SDR sets, you're getting better looking standard definitions because of the way items are being transformed from the HDR space. So again, this is a good one for everyone in terms of the...
I still have an SDR set.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, it depends what you have lying around. So that I really do find the benefits here for attacking color science in this way, and I'm very proud of how hard AJA has worked on all this with these combinations, with other people teaming up. Everyone's getting to benefit.
Yeah, it's just, again, partnering to complement the way that customers are working, not change the way that they're working.
Correct.
And functionality, listening to customers, they needed more test patterns, they need more specific test patterns. So it grew from the 9 that the box shipped with in version 1 to now 14. And there's a number of new test patterns, but really, you know, for monitor calibration and other uses to make sure that devices are calibrated correctly on set or in any environment.
Yeah, and you want to give people choice again. They're going to choose different test patterns for different needs and the pipeline. So the more we have in there, folks can get very particular in ensuring that their setup is basically being set to standards that are going to work best for them. So again, options and ensuring that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah. It's such a flexible box. This new feature is amazing to me. We have a new user overlay, so we had a lot of customers saying, hey, it'd be great if I could upload frame lines that, you know, I have a PNG of frame lines that I use, or I want to put a watermark or a lower third or, you know, any kind of graphic on it. So we created this new PNG library where you can upload any, you know, a compatible PNG to this library and call it up for the process video output. And so you could have frame lines like we're showing on the left, you could have a bug like we're showing on the right, really anything that you want.
Yeah, and it's accommodating the realities of camera sensors. So the sensors can, of course, be pretty big. They can be capturing for the sake of delivery on multiple different aspect ratios. So by loading the PNG you like, and you'll find PNG frameline creation software all over the place, just set up what you need to do for your particular production. And once again, this is about efficiency on set. It's ensuring that everyone knows where the headline hit, you know, the top of frame is going to be, ensuring you don't get boom arms into shots you don't want.
And as you explained to me earlier, there's also the ability to, you know, put a watermark. If it's, you know, let's say a high-end production, you need to make sure it's watermarked to understand, you know, where it came from. You can do that by uploading a PNG as well.
Yeah, security is still key, right? So that way you can have a watermark coming off a set for any of the files that are handed for those out of house, and you know where it came from, and you can track these things. Because it's a big investment when you're doing high-end narrative.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, for sports channels as well, if it's a Fox Sports owned item versus...
They want to have a Fox bug in the corner, it's easy to do that now right in the box.
Right.
Very cool stuff. So ColorBox is $19.95. Price hasn't changed. Includes a 3-year warranty and a power supply. It's just been a monster hit, and we're so excited to see it showing up in a multitude of different production environments being used because it's so flexible. The color front upgrade that is new is $995. That complements what's already in the box that comes with. So included in the box is the AJA color mode, color front, and the NBCU LUTs. And Orion convert is still $695, and the BBC HLG LUTs are $145. And those are optional licenses that are perpetual. So even if you you've been using the NBCU LUTs, that's working great for you, but you have a new gig and they require, let's say, the BBC HLG LUTs, you can just buy it and go to town.
Yeah, it's designed so that you can move to something when you're ready. You can basically pace yourself, so your investments there are tied to income. So it's the most flexible way for us to give you as many options as possible with timings that work for your reality.
Yeah, so flexible. And some great partner news as well. Maybe you want to talk about that. I know you're working on some of those.
So it's been interesting over time here. It starts with a key base, and that is AJA has provided an SDK kit for the ColorBox. And that means it makes it way easier for partners who are looking at the potential and can go, I'd love to integrate my control device, or I want to do something like this higher end monitoring.
I want my onset software to trigger certain modes.
Yeah, exactly. So now you got Calman, a highly respected company when it comes to monitor calibrations, Light Illusion as well. So those two groups are going to let you do really great monitor calibrations from the ground up with the hardware
using
in
the
front
very
of
high
you.
quality image libraries and signal path of the ColorBox.
And then QTake, of course, is very well known for DIT work, and we found this product is really taking off in the DIT world. I encourage you to visit aja.com and go to our user pages, because we've had some really fabulous stories coming out of the market there, and in fact a few new ones coming out for the show. And then in terms of seeing this stuff on the stand, of course there's our stand, but you can also go to ISO, Scarhoy, CyanView, ColorFront and Red Suites are set up for some of those more personalized demonstrations that they're doing with their customers. So you'll find ColorBox all around the show. And if it's your first time looking at a LUT box again, it's pretty unique. This is a 4K enabled color box, literally with single cables to get you the signals in and out, and the ability to multi-use them. So, and it's supporting all the highest end LUTs out there, 3D, the rest of it. So,
yeah, and in our booth we have a dedicated color section. We're showing ColorBox, FS-HDR, and HDR image analyzer, and we have some color experts from other companies that have contributed to the success of those products there to answer very technical, deep questions. So if you do, if any of this would really help any of your productions or your customers, definitely stop by.
Get to meet the designers.
And again, it's just all about partnerships and not changing the way people work, but complementing it.
Yep.
We don't require you to change the onset software that you're using. We're not, or the control system that you already have in place, or but Bryce mentioned there's this SDK, and so this family of partners that are contributing to the ColorBox feature set and the compatibility and the workflows just keeps growing. So this version 2 is very exciting with these new additions, and just adds to the HDR and color story from AJA, which I just find really impressive. Not just the two devices we've talked about today, like ColorBox and FS-HDR, but our desktop products, our conversion products, our KeyPro recording devices, the HDR image analyzer that I talked about that was developed with ColorFront, the Bridge Live that we talked about was developed with Compromato. Just so much from beginning to end, from lens to delivery. Basically, we help you manage this complex world of color and HDR in a very seamless way, again, without changing the way that you're working. Just complementing it and giving you more options.
Yeah, our goal here was to ensure that something that could feel intimidating or confusing, to take out all the complexity of it in every step of the process where we could. So, we try to make it really smooth. Any controls for HDR and the transform processes within any of this kit is really simple. It's generally a panel, and you either confirm, deny, or override if someone's accidentally giving you incorrect information too. So you can correct problems that sometimes come up, especially when you've got remote workflows going on and folks in different areas of the world. So to bring that through the whole pipeline, all the way through analysis to that point of delivery, right?
Yeah.
With a product like Bridge Live means you're covered from cinema to OTT. It's a great package.
Just thrilled with the HDR and color story that we've developed and we continue to develop.
Yeah.
Dante is our next bit of news. So Dante, of course, probably all of you know, is this audio standard, audio over IP standard that our friends at Audinate developed, and it's just become really the de facto standard for IP audio infrastructure. Thousands of devices out there from hundreds of companies, hundreds of thousands of installations around the world. It's really just an incredibly popular and robust and well thought out IP audio platform. And we developed a little while ago an open gear card that you probably know called the AJA Dante 12G AM, which is an embedded disembedded from 12G SDI to and from Dante audio IP. So recently they introduced Dante AV, which is obviously video over IP that leverages this very robust platform that's already in use around the world. So you have baseband and you have this IP video standard. Gee, if only there was a company like AJA that would build converters. Guess what? We did. We actually made two of them, and that's new for NAB. We have one that's a transmitter called the Dante AV 4KT, and then the R version, which is the receiver. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. And they both obviously exist to move high quality, low latency video across standard IP video networks with this very complementary workflow with Dante audio. So we have a video we're going to run that'll explain a little bit more.
Dante AV is a new choice for Pro AV professionals looking for an easy-to-use, plug-and-play IP video solution. Dante AV leverages a high-quality 1 GigE network infrastructure to deliver cinema-quality both video and audio distribution over local networking with low latency. This offers many advantages, including expandability, easier installation, and simplified wiring. The AJA Dante AV 4K-T and Dante AV 4K-R utilize the revolutionary new Dante AV Ultra solution for 1 GigE networks that enables you to add high-quality networked video to the industry-leading Dante audio-over-IP platform.
One of the exciting things about Dante overall is the ecosystem of manufacturers and products that are out there, because ultimately interoperability between the products is one of the key benefits that Dante brings. The great thing about the AJA 4K products, and frankly Dante AV Ultra in general, is that it provides a bridge from the existing SDI infrastructure that's in place today to the network, and all of the flexibility and the power that comes with putting these high quality video signals on the network. So you're able to easily route them across a venue or to other locations and still keep that super high quality, that ultra low latency that's required for these applications. On top of that, you have the ease of use that comes along with the Dante infrastructure and that unified control plane. So being able to manage all of your audio, all of your video through the same easy tools that you use for Dante audio today.
Dante AV 4K from AJA transports video with up to 4K 60p RGB 444 color space with ultra-low latency and visually lossless quality for the most demanding live environment venues. Simple to set up and configure with Audinate's well-regarded Dante controller for Windows and Mac OS, the addition of video to established audio environments is now easier than ever. Each Dante AV 4K transmitter or receiver provides a 12G SDI port and HDMI 2.0 connection for single cable support of 4K through HD video material and up to 8 channels of embedded audio support per SDI or HDMI connection. Audio can additionally be bridged, mapped, and embedded from Dante sources into each SDI and HDMI stream, or disembedded from SDI and HDMI and served to Dante destinations for incredibly simple routing. Dante AV offers the highest quality lossless video with JPEG 2000 for beautifully rendered imagery suitable for the most demanding large-screen display environments and meets the growing demand for IP video. This combination is available to you today over 1 GigE ubiquitous connectivity and Power over Ethernet Plus switches for ultimate flexibility. Power the AJA Dante AV 4K-T or -R with a choice of a dedicated and included power supply or the convenience of PoE+. AJA's Dante AV Ultra products provide even more options with KVM control, VESA for PTZ cameras, RS-422 for device control, and even IR support for remote controls.
One of the great things about Dante AV Ultra is there are a number of markets and applications that make sense for that technology. So starting off with something like a stadium or a live event, one of the things that's really unique about those use cases is the IMAG type application. And so again, you can have a performer that is on the stage, you have screens surrounding them where you're trying to keep that in perfect synchronization and have that high image quality for the people that are in the venue watching that event. In the corporate world, training, CEO coffee talk are now all broadcast in higher quality because there's a need to stream those out to other venues or transport them across the campus itself. That same thing applies for higher education. A big move towards hybrid, and higher education campuses are trying to capture that video, route it around the facility, or stream it out to students that are at home. You also have similar needs in the house of worship market, and that's an interesting vertical market because it really bridges the traditional AV market with the live performance as well. So in the venue itself, you have that same use case where you're going to have the performers on stage, you're going to have the screens around the venue that you want to have in perfect synchronization. And again, putting it on the network using Dante AV allows for that to happen. So some of those vertical markets that were traditionally more installed AV have really ramped up their production quality, and products like this now make sense in those markets as well. AJA obviously is a very well-respected brand in the space. They're known for quality, they're known for reliability, and they're one of the go-to brands in the live space. So we're really excited to bring the Dante AV Ultra products to market with AJA.
Dependable after-sale support is key. Dante AV 4K transmitters and receivers include our generous 5-year warranty and include a highly respected factory-based support team ready to answer any questions. Discover the ease of Dante AV 4K today and visit aja.com to learn more.
It's a great video. Bryce did a wonderful job on it. So let's talk a little bit more about each of these boxes. Let's take a look first at the front of the Dante AV 4K-T, which is the HDMI and SDI, 12G SDI to Dante AV transmitter. So there's status lights on the front, so at a glance, if it's in a fly pack or whatever, you can make sure that things are configured correctly and operating correctly.
Yeah, because you do have network setups here, and of course you need to give it a second to kick in and ensure that everything's running correctly. But high pressure environments live, again, you want that physical light that tells you it's going well. There are different statuses, and you can always check the manuals to confirm, because it's not always a problem. Sometimes there's just an intermediary stage in terms of the colors for the
Green light's good. So here's the business end, and I'll just walk you through some of it. So there's 4-pin XLR power, it's 12-volt DC powered, standard stuff that you're going to find on any set, any environment. There's 2 locking Ethernet ports. One of them is in use right now. The second one is for future use. The one that's Ethernet 1 also provides power over Ethernet, which we're going to talk about. And they're on these locking Nutric connectors that are standard stuff. It's not just a regular Ethernet port. It has a locking capability like an XLR cable. So it can't easily be tripped out. If somebody trips on it or knocks it out, it's not going to flop right out of there. There's 12G SDI input. There's HDMI 2.0 input, audio outputs, and then on the top row we have RS-422 that'll control like VESA, like PTZ cameras. and have an interface to those, which we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about these USB ports that allow you to have some KVM functionality as well, and IR infrared in-out ports as well. And here's the receiver with the same stuff on the back, except the basebands are now outputs, because you're taking in, obviously, IP video and you want to output it to the baseband world. So really just a compact but very feature-rich in terms of connectivity. So it's both devices are built around the Dante AV Ultra codec, which is very ultra low latency, very high quality, lossless, visually lossless quality audio and video that's JPEG 2000 based, and it supports up to 4K 60p, these boxes, and the Dante AV Ultra standard. They're, like I said, visually lossless, very low latency, and even supports up to RGB 444 quality. And maybe you could talk a little bit about the ultra low latency, but these boxes provide subframe latency as well as the Dante AV Ultra standard as well.
So that's really key thing, and on occasion video over IP has struggled a little bit with that kind of synchronized marriage between audio and video. So this particular implementation through Dante, since their key audience has been live music and that type of environment, it was really key to them to get that down. And again, we're supporting 4K, and with the codec being the Ultra version of the codec as opposed to the H, it's beautiful. It's the same thing as going to a cinema in terms of the quality you're getting. It's lossless. But the key thing is that ultra low latency, because you want to be able to have folks watching a singer seeing their physicality in action. That's what we're all there for. Is
and then on the screen is not out of sync.
And the screen is not out of sync.
Yeah.
And even in similar environments, whether it's churches or education or what have you, and you're marrying a range of things together, you're trying your best to make sure that everything literally feels live.
Yeah.
And so with this low latency, that is as close as we can get right now with this type of thing.
Subframe is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And it's compatible with standard 1 gig Ethernet networks. So if you already have a Dante audio setup, it's going to be based on off-the-shelf 1 gig stuff. Nothing crazy or proprietary here. And so one-to-many, one-to-one, you name it, that's the beauty of IP, allows you to have this capability. And it just does have the seamless integration with the Dante audio infrastructure that's already out there. It just allows people that maybe already have a robust audio infrastructure and they want to add video to it in a very easy way, interoperable with so much of the Dante software and hardware out there, fully interop with it. It uses the Dante controller software. We have a screenshot of it here that is just very easy and familiar, sort of almost spreadsheet-like routing, where you just checkmark cells basically to route video and audio.
Yeah, it's great. And the other thing with their software, which makes it easy, is you can name it, each product. Like here in the screenshot, you're seeing the names of our products. You can always do things you've got to set up and go, control room, whatever you need to do to name it in a way that works for your team. And that ability, again, you've got thousands of operators that are already used to this control software.
It's the same software, right?
Yeah, so you basically now just have the addition of video. And again, as you think about this, of course, this means you're getting to do embedding, disembedding. The audio can be coming from different sources, putting it all together, and then again, you can get this out to baseband. We shouldn't forget that what we're doing here is you're adding all those great tools we just talked about in the SDI world, whether it's the ColorBox or what have you. That can all be in line with the baseband portion of the signals, encoded into the AV-over-IP methodology here, and then go wherever you need it. So you're getting the best of both worlds, and everyone can benefit, and I think we're going to see a huge uptake here.
I think even a dummy like me could operate this, so it's very cool stuff and very familiar to so many people out there.
Yep.
Mentioned before the power options, so there's the 12-volt XLR, 4-pin XLR, it's just standard stuff for 12-volt DC, and there's also power over Ethernet, which is very popular in installations, corporate installations, you know, you name it, where they want to minimize the amount of power points that they have to have and power supplies and points of failure. They can just transmit power over that single Ethernet cable.
Yeah, it's key. So if you're a corporation, an entity, a college, that may already be built into your system. So therefore you just single plug into the wall and not just getting signal delivery, but it's actually powered. For those doing live concerts and so on, power is always a struggle. You build your kits up, get to a location, and you find you've only got X amount of power points.
Yeah.
So if you push that to the cart or to the rack, and then you can just plug in from there, and you don't need to use the DC power plug, it just makes your life that more simple again. So, but you have the option.
Yeah, and out of the box, we provide the 12-pin, the 4-pin 12-volt power supply as well. So
Yep.
you have a lot of flexibility. KVM also is very popular. So if you had a computer at a distance from where the operator is, you can transmit your keyboard and mouse signals over that single Ethernet cable as well, along with power and video and audio and all the other stuff, by just plugging it into the transmitter side. And on the host side, you just plug it into the computer and it'll do those keyboard and mouse commands over that Ethernet. So just, again, fitting existing workflows, complementing existing workflows, not changing the way people are working, but just providing tools that they're already used to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that flexibility again of configuration and control. So whether you're in a REMI type situation or even physically, between that and the IR ports, you know, on the remote side, that gives you the ability to place the actual physical devices where you need to, although you may be controlling from quite a distance away.
Yeah. And it's just all so compact. We actually have one here if you want to grab it.
Yep.
So
here
one each.
We have the transmitter, if we can see that up here.
And they're just 1 RU, half rack width, standard stuff, fits on a regular rack shelf. We have a rack shelf out there now called the IOXRM. These mount directly to it. And Bryce mentioned before, even the graphics are designed to, at a glance, let you know what you're looking at.
Yes, sitting in a rack, you can see you've got the full light blue up on the right. That means you're bringing in the full baseband uncompressed.
Into the transmitter side.
Into the transmitter side, that makes it a thinner signal on the tail end. And then coming in through the receiver, you can again see, oh, I'm bringing this smaller compressed signal in and then expanding it back out to full baseband uncompressed.
Whereas
So
for me, I want to take a little surfer and tape it on there.
There we go. A few of them.
Won't do that.
Run the waves correctly.
So let's take a look at a few use case examples. We mentioned a lot of different ways that it could be used, but let's show a few examples with corporate and education presentations, house of worship productions, and also sort of more large live events like concerts. So we have some workflow diagrams that we'll just sort of skim through, but maybe you could talk about this first one of corporate and educational presentations.
We've come through a fascinating time period. The worst is hopefully behind us, but a lot of lessons have been learnt, and one of them is even with things like education like this or corporate communications, you're trying to reach more people further, and you want to integrate more options into things, whether that's bringing in a PTZ camera, whether you're bringing in presentations, and all of it comes down to that Dante LAN hub each time, which again is just 1 GigE.
Yep.
So you're not talking a lot of expense here. And so you're branching everything off of these switches. So in this
compatibility, the VESA compatibility, the PTZ camera we're showing, and support with projectors.
Correct. And then again, that marriage of the SDI world into this video over IP world, you can integrate things like the streaming devices we talked about earlier today, HELO Plus, whatever it is you need, to deliver to multiple locations. So the whole point here is to continuously grow out ecosystems, but make it as simple as possible for you to bridge whatever technologies are in play.
Yeah, and even as things get more complex, it still provides incredible capabilities. So like we're showing a house of worship diagram here that is a little bit more complex than the previous one.
Yeah, many churches and synagogues and etc. at this point are growing out because to reach users, either because they're elderly or they simply want to expand across geographies, etc., are trying to take the core location and make it available to everyone else. So within the core location, as you see in an image like this, we just come through Easter weekend, you've got big attendance, you're going to have overflow rooms, and to be able to literally just connect these things up through an Ethernet cable.
That's probably already in the walls. Yeah.
Correct. It's already in place, or if you have to run one, it's
Not a big deal.
it's not expensive cabling for a start. So your ability to expand here and then to integrate these systems, and of course with Dante Audio, you've already got now great amplifier systems that are going to speakers.
You already have the control software.
You already got the controls.
Yeah.
So it's just expanded interoperability, and so it's a scalability factor that you now have access to as well, which should be considered.
Yeah, and scalability. We're now showing a large live event like a major concert.
Right.
Which, some of those customers were involved in the beta testing of the project as well, using it on these very large live events.
Yeah, and we were trying to understand through that any issues that obviously help with development, but alongside that, the actual realities of what would help, what's best here. So the reason we don't sell this as a combined transceiver is if you put it into transceiver, you can sometimes get other issues going on anyway, but the bigger flexibility is for you as the user. So if you go, okay, my reality is I'm going to have 6 things that need to be transmitted, but I've got tons of displays around the place. I've got a lot of areas I need to send SDI signals off to on the reception side. You might buy those 4 to 6 transmitters, but you might end up buying 10 to 15 receivers. So you get to benefit from that choice.
Yeah, and buying purpose-built stuff that's not overly complicated.
Yes.
That's what you need it to do.
And generally preserves quality, which with AJA is always key.
Absolutely. And both of these boxes are available now at an incredible price, $24.95 each. So the transmitter is that price, the other one's that price. They both come with 5-year warranties, which includes AJA's really renowned tech support. So you have support at the factory that's part of that price for really an incredibly generous period of time of 5 years.
Absolutely. I think that's part of what AJA really does well, is we're here for you and live and that type of thing. There's a lot of nerves involved. There's a lot of, I can't take a chance on something going down, and if something does go wrong, can it be handled as fast as possible? And that's part of what these warranties speak to, is we're here with you.
I'm sorry. And I think it also speaks to the engineering and the thoughtfulness that, in our manufacturing, not just the engineering design, but also the manufacturing, the testing. And, we really believe in it, so we feel confident giving these very generous warranties.
Yeah, every box goes out of here having been tested.
Absolutely, every single thing. So that's the Dante AV 4K, and again, they're available today, the transmitter and the receiver, and just very, very excited about that. So let's take a look at the NAB news that we talked about, towering over the Las Vegas skyline there in the image. We have the Diskover Media Edition plugins and new features, the FS-HDR update, Bridge Live update, the HELO Plus update with the new options, ColorBox with its options, and the new Dante AV boxes that we just talked about. So just an incredible amount of stuff that is delivering more value on existing products and delivering unique new products as well with very exciting new technologies. And it's NAB, and we're back with a big booth as usual. We're very excited. We're in the West Hall, the beautiful West Hall this year. Great pole position right at the front. We're booth W2600, so please stop by and take a look at it. Visit us. We have a beautiful booth with all the products on display, lots of product experts that I mentioned before, there to answer questions from tech support people from AJA, product managers, users, you name it. If you stop by, you're going to get the answers that you need, and lots of meeting spaces as well. So if you do want to schedule a meeting with us, hop on that pretty soon. And for our resellers that are on the call, We have new marketing tools on the reseller section of AJA.com, ads, you name it, lots of tools there. Even this presentation is there for your use, and for everyone else, you're going to see ads on these new announcements all over industry press and all over the internet as well. And of course, you can always learn more at AJA.com. Bryce and his team put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into our website, and not just to make it look pretty, which it does, but also to deliver really in-depth information. We have these solutions pages that talk about individual technologies and what AJA products are relevant to those. We talk about workflows, and of course, then individual products and lots of information on there as well. And you can always follow us on social media. Stay tuned. We'll have more news coming throughout the show in terms of images from the show and user stories. And our website is also tons of up-to-date information as well. So either on our website, social media, or both. And just want to thank you for your time today. And we're really looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas if you're going to be there. And thanks for your time, and see you soon.
See you soon.